Welcome to Scott++. Because in the previous video with Isa, we went so deep into those startup ideas on Reddit, there were a lot of posts that were not subjugated to my haphazard thoughts, and I didn't think that was very fair. So in this video, we're going to go back into Reddit, our startup ideas, look at some of these ideas. I will comment on some of the technical challenges, how I might go about approaching an MVP, and at the end of the video, I'll pick my favorite ideas of the month. All that right after the intro. Okay, a tool that allows you to test your trading strategy in minutes without editing code. Okay, so this seems really cool. Basically, it lets you set up some automation of based on some signals, we'll then buy and sell stock. So in this case, they're saying basically follow Nancy Pelosi and whatever she buys, also buy. They gave some other examples based on sentiment from Reddit or some other signals. Now, my number one tip for trading stock: buy what I sell and sell what I buy, and you will do great. But this is a really cool idea. Obviously, there's the proverb that the people who made the most money during the gold rush were the people selling the mining equipment. There's definitely potential for a tool like this. And also, I think giving people the ability to play with these strategies can help educate them and make better decisions. So I think this is a net positive. It's a really cool tool. It's interesting to see the different types of signals that you can pull in and use to base a strategy around. I believe I read an article about a hamster that was set up to buy and sell crypto, either by running on the wheel or pressing some buttons in his cage or something. So that might be another signal you could integrate. Now, obviously, there are probably a lot of other tools like this that already exist. So before trying to analyze this business, I think it would be critical to look at what's already out there in terms of these types of tools. Assuming nothing else existed, I think this is amazing. There may be a couple ways to monetize this. Obviously, if you actually set this up to buy and sell stock on the user's behalf, you could take a commission on those trades. That is a lot more work to set up. Obviously, the profit potential is much higher, but it's a lot more work. I would probably start instead by just having this as an informational tool. You could just charge a monthly subscription fee for access to all this data. I think either of those are very cool. The tech, I would kind of break into a few pieces. One is the historical data of the stocks and their valuations. So obviously there are a number of different APIs you could tap into to get that data already. And that's probably going to be cheaper than trying to build that side out yourself. Two is going to be the different signals. So this data is maybe one data set. Another data set are your various signals that you offer when Nancy Pelosi is buying stock, what Reddit's opinion of stock is, etc. Now, each of those might need a different type of integration, but obviously you'd be able to launch this product with just a few of those and kind of gauge interest in what other signals might be and gradually build that out. Finally, you have the ability to kind of construct these strategies using these statements of if this, then that. Which is a cool system to build, but not technically complicated. Another signal to add might be the user's own portfolio, because then you could set up more personalized rules, like ensuring that you are properly diversified or things like that. And that is something theoretically you could set this up as a free version and then a premium version with deeper integrations, etc. So very cool tool, something I've thought about building myself from time to time. Glad to see some other people are on it. And obviously, again, there are probably a lot of products like this already. So doing an assessment of the current landscape of your competition and figuring out how to differentiate yourself is going to be critical. So it might be interesting to do a deep dive into the tech stack used for this, but that will have to be for a separate video. For now, let's move on to the next one. Dribble Behance for fashion designers. This one isn't so much fleshed out, but let me approach this as if one of my friends came to me and say, "Hey Scott, I want to start a business like Behance, but for fashion designers. What do you think?" Behance, of course, is a very popular site. Can I auto scroll down? Get this extension. And it's auto scrolling. All right. So Behance is a very popular website for artists and designers to kind of post their work, and then people can leave comments, give feedback, etc. So the idea is this for fashion. So as someone who has zero experience with fashion, obviously, my first questions are, what are the differences between the needs of fashion design and Behance? What about Behance does not work for what you're already trying to accomplish with this site? If the idea is to make it specifically for fashion, like theoretically, I could take pictures of my proposed outfits or whatever. I could come in here, post it on Behance. I could tag it with fashion design. Does that solve the business need that you are seeing, right? And if not, what are those differences and how would you differentiate yourself from Behance or any of the other like Behance-like apps that are already out there? One thing that might be interesting, because the person did specifically say to get feedback. And so if there was an option to let other people like draw on top of these designs, like if you've posted your outfit and someone's like, what about more like this? And then maybe change the color or draw some sketches on top of that. That might be an interesting way to take it, to make it more of a collaborative experience and more about getting feedback than showing off the work. Another option is, I know there are a lot of apps now that let you kind of capture 3D objects, right? You install the app on your phone with your camera, you kind of walk around the object and then it creates a 3D model of that. And since fashion is by nature three-dimensional, if you had your outfit and then it leaned into that aspect of like posting actual 3D mocks of the work, and then the browser experience would let you rotate that and whatnot to really get the full presentation of that work. I realize now that as this is scrolling, if I stutter and I'm having to make cuts, it's going to be so obvious, but that's fine. Let's roll with it. Need one more of these. Another direction to kind of take this might be thinking about what tools would help with the fashion design process, right? If I forget about the showing off your work for a moment, if we're just going to create the site that fashion designers come to improve their skills, to improve their design, is there some way that we can make templates to show what these clothes would look like on a number of different models with different looks, to play with the lighting, to give ideas of I don't know, fabrics or whatever goes into fashion? So these are kind of some directions to start thinking about. How can we differentiate from what's already out there? What are the specific problems to this niche audience that we're trying to provide value for? I think starting with such a niche audience is great because it allows you to really build that community and create kind of a tailored experience, no pun intended, fashion design. And so there's probably room for that. I don't have the industry experience to know what that is, but if someone came and talked to me, those are some of the questions that I would be asking to try to dive into what we could actually build here. All right, let's roll on. What basic tech do I need to get this running? That is right up my alley. Start an online platform for wine wholesalers to upload their product catalog, for bars, restaurants, wineries to purchase directly, take account of stock, and be updated of new products. Okay, so this is interesting. I mean, it's basically an online shop for wine. Is there anything more to it than that? Theoretically, it's just an e-shop, right? But I guess the idea is that this is not a shop for a specific wholesaler. You're wanting to create a platform where wineries can come on, or wine wholesalers, if those are different things, and upload their stock, make that easy. A lot of things probably already exist that you just need to reskin, and I would look at doing that first before going deeper. So again, probably my first advice is going to be very repetitive, but do your market research, see what's already out there, who are you competing against, how are you differentiating yourself, what value are you actually adding to the ecosystem, and then lean into that value you're providing. If I were to build this, I would probably start by trying to provide value as early as possible. So find one winery and form a relationship with them, say, hey, we're going to build the site to let you sell your wine, and then build something specifically for them, while in the background understanding that you're trying to make this generic and scalable to different customers. But you're building a site for them, you're getting to learn all the things that you need to have working while you go through that process. And so some of the stuff you may need to start doing manually. For example, you may need to manually input their catalog, right? And hopefully they have a small catalog. But while you're doing that, you have something up and running that is selling the wine. Then you can start working on building out the tools to make it easier to input the catalog of the next winery you then go approach. And after you do this a few times, grabbing one winery at a time and uploading to your system, you're finding the bugs, you're refining the system, the process, you're uncovering new features that you didn't know you would need, but all the while you are providing value to real customers. And then eventually, once you feel like you've gotten a handle, you've gone through 2 more wineries where you didn't have to build anything else, right? You had all the tools set up. You just said, hey, would you like to onboard to this platform? You don't hold their hand at all. They're able to do it without you. Then you know, okay, now it's time to try to launch this wider. So that's it for this one. Let's roll on. Okay, a web app for people to form their startups. What do you think of a website that allows people to post their startup team idea? You mean like Reddit right here? And look for specific people to cover certain areas. Example, so I'm a tech person, so I register and set my availability. I can either create a roster. Okay, basically it's a site to help co-founders meet each other or to find potential startups that you want to join. I absolutely see the need for this. Specifically with star voting, we're looking for sites where people go to find opportunities where they can volunteer with their talents and abilities. And they're few and far between. So we need a better ecosystem of connecting people to build things together. That said, I'll caveat as always that things like this probably already exist. So do your market research, figure out what unique value you are providing. Someone in the comments mentioned this is basically like AngelList, and it's also kind of like LinkedIn, right? In my experience, AngelList is more targeting companies who are already funded and trying to hire maybe their first few engineers, whereas this is something probably from the very beginning, right? You don't have a business yet, you don't have funding, but you're just trying to find those connections and people you could build something with. For that, a few features I think that would be critical. One is anonymity. Ideally, you're targeting people who kind of already have a job, but are maybe interested in exploring other opportunities, and they may not want to advertise that they're open. And a second is vetting, right? As with any job hunt, you're gonna post and you're gonna get inundated with hundreds of people. And especially for something at the very beginning, they may not have the experience that you're looking for in a potential partner. So I might think of leaning on LinkedIn and using that data to kind of vet people, and then letting people who post ideas or opportunities kind of set requirements for who they're looking for. And I think you would also want people to indicate kind of their areas of interest, right? What domains are people interested in exploring? Because even if someone has the appropriate skill set, I want them to be passionate about the problem that we're solving, right? And so abilities to filter on those types of things would be awesome. And then further, to kind of bootstrap this community that you're building, I would think about doing synchronous events. So in addition to people posting their ideas and looking for people who are available, commenting, etc., maybe once a month have some sort of like speed dating type thing over Zoom where everyone comes in and probably around a particular topic or domain, and either have people set up to give pitches and then discuss with various people or a panel, etc. And that could be, I think, interesting events that people would be very interested to join those types of events. And so if you can drive those alongside kind of building out this community, that would be awesome. User KDZY, I'm going to bookmark this and check in later. I hope you built something awesome, because I would love to join such a community. Okay, that's going to be all the ones we get through today. I want to do a quick recap of what I thought to be the biggest technical challenges for each of these. For the stock trading, assuming that you are facilitating actual stock trading, that is definitely going to be the hardest. There are so many legal requirements around buying and selling stock. Doing that correctly is going to be very tough, but potentially very profitable. Next, we have the winery platform. There are a lot of things they put into that. Keeping the data in there accurate is going to be difficult in terms of what stock is available, connecting with all the different wineries, shipping processes. Finding that balance between customization and simplicity is going to be tough. Not nearly as tough now as stock trading, right? But that's going to be, I think, the biggest challenge there. On the Behance, I think the biggest challenge there is just going to be data storage. Whenever you have a site where all your users are uploading a lot of data, in this case images, that's going to be heavy and expensive. And so being able to turn a profit while also hosting all that data, I think that's going to be the biggest challenge on that one. Stock trading, again, but this time assuming we're not actually buying and selling stock, is just going to be an informational tool. For there, I think it's just going to be all the different connections to various signals, whether it's trying to gauge Reddit's current opinion of the stock or track specific influencers, what they're buying and selling. You're going to want to provide a variety of those signals, and each one is going to require more development time. The good news though is that you can launch with a few and then gradually expand if the platform is successful. Finally, the startup community. I think this one is relatively straightforward. So the problems here are definitely not going to be technical. It's just going to be getting this idea to catch and getting enough critical mass of people on the platform to make it worthwhile. And then drum roll, I'm not sure if it's a coincidence, but my favorite ideas are actually what I consider the two easiest. It's going to be the startup community, because that's something that definitely I would benefit from and hope that they build. And then secondly, I love the stock trading app, and just that kind of playground to play with trading strategies I think is really fun and interesting, as well as educational. So I love that idea, and I hope to spend more time playing with that in the future. All right, that's it for me. If you have a startup idea that you want me to dig into, by all means leave it in a comment, or if you post it on Reddit, I'm sure I'll get around to it eventually. As always, thank you for watching. Roll that outro music, and I'll see you in the next video.